Oh hey people, what's going on? Today we're going to be ranking the weapons of Hyperscape, as well as the hacks, which I have on an entirely different sheet. I feel like it was a little confusing to loop them all together. You can't really compare, apples to oranges, but we'll do two separate ones. And this is all just my opinion. This is for fun. It's in no way competitively accurate, but we're gonna do it anyway, because it's fun. So, first, the Ripper. This is the gun for just doing its job. This will shoot the bullet very well. It's just a really overall solid weapon. Some people have their complaints, but I think compared to a certain other notable offender on this list, it falls behind in feeling, but I think on its own, as a tool to destroy your enemy, I believe it gets an A. I feel like that's appropriate. You could say it's like the baseline weapon too, like everything else should be balanced around it, which would put it probably in B. If we're gonna say this is like the middle zone, and everything is either has to be better or worse than the Ripper, you could do it that way. But I think it's on the fact of usability. I mean, I'd pick the Ripper over a vast amount of other weapons. It requires a good balance of skill and power. Numbers popping up over enemy heads, I think it definitely deserves A. Like, legally it should probably be here, but fuck it, it's my list. It goes here. Next is the Mammoth. I'm conflicted because I feel like you don't get too many really good opportunities to see this thing shine. Inside buildings is one thing. I think synergy with certain hacks, mainly invisibility, make it kind of disgusting. But I think the fact that it requires you to get up so close is potentially an issue. I think I would put this in B tier. I think it really is saved by certain hack synergies. I'm not sure because it excels exactly at what it's supposed to, which is deleting people 3 inches away from you. That situation, which is the exact opposite of the next weapon, the Protocol V, Protocol B, Protocol V. It is the exact opposite, where you just delete people from a million paces. I am not a sniper main. I am not particularly skilled in clicking on heads from a distance. I don't have a whole lot of experience using it, at least within the technical test. However, I think it's incredibly powerful. I think any weapon completely bound to a player's skill like that, like it's got. I think it's above the Ripper. I think it's a high A for sure. Like, people do complain. I've seen it that it's too easy. It's just max it out, click on the head. There you go. It's a kill. I think it's balanced by the movement itself in this game, usability of hacks. In other games where you could just be caught out, no movement abilities, the movement hacks are really good for getting out of the way. You got invisibility, you have armor that'll block the hit, you got ball if anyone's fucking using ball. In this game in particular, if you do get your head clicked on, either you got outskilled or outplayed, or you were doing something wrong. I really think the weapon comes down to that. In the right hands, it's probably the perfect weapon. In my hands, it's absolutely not, and you'll see later when I talk about my favorite weapon. Anyway, next is the God King of every weapon. I think everybody knows the Hexfire just goes in S. Hexfire got nerfed right at the end of the technical test. Didn't matter. I read a really interesting take in regards to the nerf of this weapon. That the damage shouldn't be brought down like it was. The rate of fire should be changing, which makes a lot of sense when the damage only is like, I think it was originally 4, went down to 3. I mean, I don't think you could take the damage any lower without completely gutting it. Next, Riot One. It's hard to say because it is a really good gun. I just think there are other guns that can do it better. It's basically a pocket sniper. It's very easy to just click the head with this gun. It's very powerful, but I'm almost wondering, in a situation where you have this, if you had something like the Ripper instead, would you be better off? It's not so powerful that I don't think it could replace another weapon. but I'm honestly sure there are people that can easily prove me wrong. But personally, I haven't seen it. Myself using it, I've gotten a few kills. It's good, but it's not my, it's, you know, I wouldn't choose it over any of these. I might choose it over the Mammoth. But then even getting killed or looking at kill feeds, I don't see this pop up. I don't get killed by this as much. But on the third or fourth hand, I don't know what point we're on anymore. I don't know if people are even using this weapon because it's a pistol. Like, is it just cosmetically not valuable to people just because it looks like a sidearm, so don't take it? Is that like the general thought? I don't know where to put this. I want to say it's like behind the map. I want to say it's like here. In my heart, I want to put it in C, but like I feel like it belongs here, but personally I want it to go here. And then I'm sure there are people that say it belongs here or here, but like, I mean, it's functional. It's completely functional. I feel like C tier is like the baseline for like, can you do things with this gun? If you pick this up, are you still in the contention for winning the game? And you could absolutely win the game with the Riot One. I think that's not a foregone conclusion whatsoever. I don't think, it's rough, because like in some situations I'd love to have it more than the Mammoth, I think. But the Riot One doesn't delete people. Like the Mammoth can delete people. Bro, I don't know. Like, I think it belongs there. And I mean, that could change. Well, we're going into the beta like probably tomorrow, if all sources point the right way. It can happen. I might say, oh my god, guys, I got like 80 kills in one game. It's totally S plus tier. It's way, way up above it. But I don't know. For now, it's going here. All right, so this is a problem, because I know guaranteed, like, I don't think the list is too controversial, you know, for where it is. I think this is fine. You know, I don't think anyone's gonna really disagree. Maybe there's some Riot One diehards, but I think nobody's really gonna have too much of a problem with it. People are gonna have a problem with this. I'm personally tempted to put it like here, but I know that's not right. I know, there's, personally, I could not make a case for that. Like, myself I'm not capable of doing that. However, I know this gun belongs like probably here, like maybe above the Riot One. I know this is legitimately where this gun should go. For me, it's like here, and this is my list, so that's where it's gonna stay. I love the D-tap. I don't even know how to express how much this gun suits me and my lack of brain, my lack of mechanical skill. You don't have to aim at the enemy, you just have to aim generally where they are, and the gun does the rest. You can't get headshots, damage is low, at max rank it takes an entire magazine to kill. It's not a good weapon. On paper, you look at it and go, what is this? What is this weapon? This is a titanic waste of time. There are 2 or 3, if I can think of a third one, ways to use this gun effectively. The first one is, I believe, how it is meant to be designed as a cleaner weapon. So, let's say you have the Ripper and you have the D-tap and you a guy down, and he's got like 15 health, so you whip out the D-tap and you turn your head away from the screen and finish him off. Like, you look away and you still get the kill. Like, I think that's its intended use. My intended use, on the other hand, is roaming around at endgame matches, waiting for squads to fight, and then just schmooving in, deleting a couple of low health stragglers, and then leaving before anyone notices. It's disgusting. It's the dirtiest way to play. No one respects you. But, oh my god, is it incredibly fun. I am craving that rush again. I mean, I don't want to recommend it to people because it is easily the most degenerate way to play. No contest. I guess it's like top tier is taking the crown and running out into the zone, and then like second place is this. Free. It's free. Realistically, I think proper way to use this gun is just... It's not... If you can... structurally, if you want to think about it like this, if you use the gun at all, you're using a worse gun. Like, if you can aim, if you can click on someone, you might as well use anything else. It doesn't matter. Okay, enough about gushing over the D-tap. We are going to go to the Komodo. Komodo, I don't know how I feel about the Komodo. I feel like it's really underwhelming for me. It's a projectile. It's an AoE explosion that does like 22 to 25 damage. It takes 4 shots to kill an enemy, which sounds not too bad, but when you factor in travel time for the projectile, I don't use it often. I really tried to, especially after the buff. I just couldn't feel it. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. But okay, so it does 25 damage with 8 in the mag at max rank. So it takes 4 shots to kill, and you could kill 2 people in one magazine if you were so lucky. I think, see, this is my problem with it, is it's 20s across the board, and at the beginning it's 4-shot magazine. Level 2, it's a 5-shot, so you have to at least get to level 2 or else you straight up can't win a 1v1 without switching to a different weapon. I don't know, are these this feels like pre-buff. It doesn't have a date on this page. I'm gonna look at the patch notes. 22 and then up to 28. I feel like my point still stands because, oh, and you know what? Health is 120, isn't it? It's not, yeah, it's not 100, it's 120. Like, I get that its AoE is what's important. I get that that's its job, that you fire into a squad and you can hit 2 or 3 of them at a time. I feel like that scenario doesn't come up often, and if you are going to try to use a strategy like that, you would be better off using the Skybreaker. I don't know. I want to put it in Seer. Seer? Ooh, oh, Brain Rot is in full force today. Give me the D-tab. Yeah, I actually think this is fair because I'd straight up use it far less than the Riot One for sure. Like, I guess if you're just trying to spam it down a choke or just cover an area without even like worrying about trying to hit your target, you just want to lay down fire and see what happens, it's probably better than the Riot One, but I don't like that strategy, at least with this weapon. That strategy I think is better with the next weapon. This isn't really the one for it. I would even like to see its projectile speed increased. I don't know, I feel like this is something my opinion might change of in the next beta. It's very possible that I could pick it up and find its value. And then absolutely, like, if anybody has a real purpose for this gun and wants to argue this point, then by all means, like, let me know, because I personally have never seen it. Speaking of guns lacking purpose, I straight up don't like the Salvo, and I think it belongs in dumpster tier. This is nebulous because, I don't know, I don't think the Salvo is, like, unusable. There's a case to be made that Salvo won't win you a game. Salvo is really good in specific situations, such as picking off squads trapped in buildings. That scenario doesn't come up enough to warrant holding on to this weapon for me. If you're using the Salvo in the open, it's not doing anything. It's the travel speed of the projectile is so slow and player movement is so fast, you don't get to land shots unless you're 400 steps into the future, knowing their exact move and can lob the shot directly where they're going. And even then, I'm not even sure that's more useful than finding a different weapon. Like, it does the same damage post-patch as the Komodo does now. So 22, all the way up to max, which is 28. Yeah, so even at full fusion, it says here that it cannot kill in 4 hits. Like, you can block off areas pretty well, I guess, and control enemy movement. But I don't feel like that's as valuable as if you just have the opportunity to kill them. Why are you playing around with them? You know, like looking at this now, I believe this is even more valuable in this tier than it was before. Now that I see that it does the exact same damage as the Komodo. The Komodo I can hit people with. The Salvo, it's area denial, sure. And yeah, I guess you can funnel them into like the rest of your squad to get kills. But in this kind of game, that sounds really good on paper. And in practice, just do damage, just kill the enemy. Just click the head. You can't click the head with the Salvo. Just pick any of these, maybe not this, but any of these, and just click the enemy. It's used in indoors, in small, tight corridors. That's its niche. And outside of that, you're better off switching to anything else. I don't understand why people thought this was so broken. Like, if you're getting caught in a building and you get blasted, that's almost your own fault. Like, the sound design in the game is in a way where you can hear people coming. If you hear someone in your building or on the roof or breaking a barricade, you have a million and one ways to get out of there, especially if you're playing squads. I can see with Dark Haze why people didn't like this weapon, but not in vanilla game mode, squads, crown, whatever. That's it. I think instead of nerfing it, I think they could have just taken it out of Dark Haze. I don't want to say put the D-tap in, because I feel like that would be stupid. I feel like there's a reason the D-tap is not in Dark Haze. That's enough about the Salvo. I'm sick of talking about it. Final weapon of the weapons list is the Skybreaker. I feel like this is almost just a raw upgrade to the Komodo, which is gonna sound whack because they do fill two different niches, but if you really think about it, what you're trying to do with the Komodo and what you're trying to do with the Skybreaker is almost the same thing. You know, AoE damage to a squad that's kind of clumped together. The difference is that the Skybreaker can chunk off massive amounts of health, and the Komodo does like 22 to 25, and the AoE is much smaller. This is gross. Like, this is whack. You just lob the ball. I think the nerf was a good idea, because I think, like, what was its original number? Yeah, it originally did full damage scaling, and at max it originally did 80 at the point of impact. You would hit your enemy, and then they could straight up be shot in the baby toe by a Riot One or whatever, and that's it. Oh yeah, it does 64 at max now. That might be a little drastic, but I think that's more in line. I think that's definitely, it's filling its role properly of, it has one shot, so you take your one shot, and if you land it, you've opened up the enemy wide to whatever else you have on you. So if you pull out your Ripper, you're dealing with like 40 health at that point. I think it's a great opening weapon. And I think especially after the nerf, it's much more reasonable, so I might put it low A. Either low A or high B. I think high B is fair because it is a fairly neat, like, you can't roll around with this weapon all the time. I think it's absolutely got its one niche that it does well, but you can't just hang out with this thing all the time. You can't really complete an entire engagement with just this weapon, which I think kind of pigeonholes it into that slot of just opening up the opponent. It definitely does its job better than the other two projectile explosives. So I have so much Hyperscape I played during the technical test. I feel like I have a good grasp on what these weapons do and what, how they stack up against each other. But anyway, I don't know if this is going to be another video or if we're just going to keep going, because I'm already recording for 30 minutes, and I don't know how much I can cut that down. I talk a lot. Boy,